I'm Butler of the Butler Law Firm. Today we'll be talking about what to do after you've been in a car accident. But the problem with making a video like this is that nobody in the world is going to watch this video today and then remember when they get in a car accident 3 months from now or a year from now or 10 years from now what it was that I had to say in that video. So to get around that problem, we've prepared this printable list. And if you go to the web page linked to in the description, you'll be taken to our web page where you can download a copy of this list in a printable format. And if you want to, you can print it and stick it in your glove box or your center console. And then, if you're one of these people who likes to be prepared for everything, if you ever are in a collision, and I hope you're not, but if you are, you'll have our list. And if the list doesn't contain all the information you want at that time, well then, you can scan this QR code right here, and it'll take you to that web page that has more information about it. So, on to the list. The first thing I think most people know, dial 911. The most important thing after a car accident is not your lawyer, it's your body. Listen to your body if you're hurting. If something's wrong with you, get medical attention. Tell that to the dispatcher on 911, they can send you an ambulance. Calling 911 will also get a police officer to the scene of the collision. And that's a good thing because the police officer will write a report. Sometimes it may take a long time, particularly in the city of Atlanta, for a police officer to get to you. It's worth it. You're going to need that police report down the line if you end up having a legal case. Don't argue. Sometimes people get hot and bothered after a collision, and I understand that, and they get into arguments with the other driver. If you can avoid that, don't do it. It never helps. Nobody's legal case was ever helped by the argument they had with the other driver on the scene of the collision. You don't have to talk about everything. You don't have to argue about who's right, who's wrong. That's what police officers and courts are for. So if you can avoid it, don't get in a heated argument with the other driver. Witnesses. This is something a lot of people don't think about. Immediately after a collision, lots of people will stop, typically to try to offer help. But sometimes there are people who actually saw the collision happen. And if nobody copies down their name and their contact information, they are often gone forever. When the police officer gets there, if the police officer interviews people, the officer will typically write their name down. But there's two things that can go wrong in that process. The first is that most witnesses aren't going to wait around for the officer to show up. They've got somewhere they got to be. They have a life to lead. They're on the road for some reason. They're going someplace, and they're going to want to get there. So by the time the officer gets there, they've left, and there's no way for your lawyer to contact that person if we don't have a name and contact information. The second thing that can go wrong is that sometimes police officers are also in a hurry, particularly again in the city of Atlanta because they've got other things to do. So they may not copy down every witness's name. They may get the phone number wrong. So a lot of times there are helpful witnesses that get lost forever because no one copied their name down. I know it is a lot to ask of someone to write down witness names and contact information right after a collision, and you may not be physically able to do that, but if you are, it's a good idea. Next, most people get this already, pictures. Pictures and videos can help show the damage to the car, but not only that, can show how the vehicles came to rest. Like, after the collision happened, what was the position of the cars? Nothing shows that better than a picture, or even better than that, a video from your smartphone works just fine. Insurance. When an officer shows up and writes a police report, the officer is going to write down who the insurance company is. State Farm, Progressive, USAA, whoever. But the officer is not going to write down what the insurance limits are. That's important because different drivers have different insurance limits. For instance, the person who hits you may have an insurance policy for the Georgia minimum of $25,000. Or maybe they carry 50 or 100 or 250 or going up from that. When the officer writes down the insurance company on the form, they're not going to write down the insurance limit. Now we can get that information. Georgia has a statute, OCGA 33-328, that allows us to write a letter to the insurance company and requires them to tell us what the insurance limits are. But they have 60 days by law to reply to that. And that's a long time, and even then sometimes they ignore the deadline. We have to keep chasing the information. All that goes a lot quicker if you already have it. So if you have a chance, if you and the at-fault driver aren't in a heated argument, you can do it. Try to get pictures front and back of the other driver's insurance card. Because sometimes, right there on the card, it'll say what the limits are. And that'll make us, give us the ability to move your case faster. Because we don't have to hound the insurance company and wait that 60 days or more in order to find out what the insurance limits are. Be respectful. I know that tempers flare after a collision, and if you've been waiting out there in the cold or in the hot sun for the police officer to get there for an hour, you're likely to be a little irritated when the officer gets there. Hide it. Bury that irritation deep. Be polite, be nice, be respectful to the police officer. Because what that officer says about the collision and who was at fault is going to have a big effect on your case. Now, if the officer comes out against you, sometimes we can still win the case, but it gets a lot harder and you need some good witnesses. It's much easier and much better for you if the officer's on your side, so be sweet. Get your stuff. This doesn't have anything to do with the law, but it is good practical advice. If you've been in a collision and your vehicle has to be towed away, or if you are taken away by ambulance, it may be a long time before you get back to your vehicle. Your vehicle is going to end up in a tow lot in like Loganville somewhere, or who knows where. It's going to be a pain to get to. You're going to have to go to it yourself or send someone there if you're not able to make the trip. So it's much easier on you. It doesn't really have anything to do with the law, but it's a lot easier on you if after the collision you get your things out of the car if your car isn't driving. Stay away from social media. No case I have ever heard of has been won because someone made a great Instagram post. But cases have been lost that way. Don't post about your case. Lawyer. Call a good lawyer. Call someone who cares, not one of these big box law firms that runs all the daytime TV ads to whom every client is just a number. Find a lawyer who specializes in personal injury work and it has a small law firm where people actually care about their lawyers and where you can get your lawyer on the phone when you call. Unfortunately, that's not true of all law firms in Georgia. Insurance again. Don't talk to your insurance company or their insurance company until you've had a chance to talk to a lawyer. This applies even to your own insurance company because even though you've been paying on premiums for years, paying for that insurance. If you have insurance and there's a possibility that your insurance company may have to pay you, then that is going to be, unfortunately, an adversarial relationship. So be very careful with that. If you talk to an insurance company, they can record what you say, use it against you later. The smarter move is to talk to a lawyer before you talk to any insurance company. But this is another reason you want to talk to a lawyer fast, because sometimes there's a notice period. That is, you have to tell your insurance company within a certain time period about the collision. So you want to talk with your lawyer fast so you can get that handled pretty quickly. Thank you for watching.